gorgeous, it's Adele. I wanted to talk to you about the 3 stretches that you need to do after running. Now this is inspired by gorgeous Becky, one of my clients, who's asked me for 3 specific stretches, and I've done a separate video on the stretches, but these are the things that you need to know. Do you want to run faster? Do you want to improve your technique in running? Do you want to improve the gait that you're running at? Because we know that a longer stride is going to help you to run better. Or perhaps you want to keep running into your 60s and 70s. Yes, please. Or perhaps you want to run and be pain-free. Well, looking after your feet is the answer. Looking after your feet, whether you're a runner or a walker, is paramount, and they often get ignored. They don't get the attention that they deserve, and your foot health is so important for the rest of your body. Think about it. If your feet are collapsing inwards, if your ankles are collapsing inwards, that's going to affect your knee and your hip. It's going to cause problems throughout your body. So keeping your feet strong and healthy is really important. Now your trainers will tell you a lot. It doesn't have to be your trainers, it could be your walking shoes. If you have a neutral stance, a neutral gait when you walk, your trainers will give you the clue. For instance, if you have rubber, if you've worn away at the heel, brilliant, and below the 2nd and 3rd toe, fantastic. You have a natural neutral gait. However, if you over-pronate and your ankle moves in, you've got fallen arches and you're going to have inflammation in the fascia, the plantar fascia, underneath your foot. Your feet are going to hurt. If you suffer from things like shin splints or knee pain, that's because you over-pronate. And your trainers will tell you, if you've got wear in the middle of your heel and on the inner edge by your big toe, then your shoes are sliding in, and that means you're over-pronating. Supination is when you've got ankle pain, IT band pain, Achilles tendonitis, ouch, ouch, ouch. And this is when the ankle leans out. So things like a small amount of leaning out is going to affect the whole of your body. And if the wear is not on the big toe, but it's at the little toe on the outer edge, then you are supinating. So things to know and things to remedy. How would you remedy that? Well, I use something like this, a yoga block, or if you're really keen, you could use something like this, which is a little more painful. But I start off with a yoga block. Or if you haven't got a yoga block, and I do like them because they're really spongy and they'll give, you could use a rolled up towel. And what you do is you put your heel off and your toes on and you walk across, keeping your hips balanced. And what that will do is get the fascia, the sinewy bit under your foot, moving and more supple. And that is going to help the way that you hold your foot, because you're looking for the sticky spots, the tissues and the cells that have begun to stuck together in your foot, and that's going to affect your gait and your balance. So your first stretch is to start with your feet. Get your feet in a good position, and then you can move on to other stretches. But I also want you to think about improving the strength of your feet. And you can do that by wiggling your toes whilst you're watching telly. There you go, you're doing some exercise. Or you could squeeze and release your feet, clench your toes while you're watching the telly. You could master foot control by picking up a pencil or a pen whilst watching telly. Trigger points, that's what we like, something that will remind us to do the work. So watching telly could be where you clench your feet. And then finally, walking. Walking with clenched feet. You're not going to do it for very long, but it's quite good fun. You can have little competitions, little races, and you can do that whenever you walk to the bathroom. Something like that, something that triggers that action. So those are the exercises. The stretches that you need, that most runners and walkers need, are your quad stretches, your front of thigh stretches. And in the olden days with the fitness professionals, we used to do something called ballistic stretching. We used to bounce. You remember from the 80s, you've seen those videos that we used to do in our thongs, in our leotard, bouncing. We don't do it anymore. We really don't do it anymore. It causes all sorts of scar tissue and just scariness in the muscle. What we do is intuitive stretching. Move in the stretch. Find out what's going on in the stretch. Hold a stretch until you've got to that sweet point and it starts to release, then go a little bit more. Intuitive stretching. So once you've done your quads, you need to do your hamstrings, the back of your legs, and there's in the vlog, it's all there, and then your IT band, which is basically fascia. It's that sinewy bit that goes from your hip down to your knee, your IT band, and that needs stretching. You can do that by crossing your legs and taking your arm over. Tight hip flexors, the front of your hip, are the bane of most people's lives. And what happens with the hip flexors when they get tight is they force the pelvis into a tight spot as well. So your hips tighten up, your back arches, it causes back pain and it tightens all the way down the hamstring. So hip flexors need to be looked at, and you can do that with a butterfly stretch when you hold your feet together and let your knees open. Or you could do the pigeon stretch. Curious? Go and have a look on the blog. So click the blog and I'll show you all those stretches plus a little video, and let me know what stretches you do. Let me know if you pronate or supinate, okay? I'd love to know. I'm dead nosy and stuff like that. And if you've been brave enough to use one of these. See you soon.